The Dance of the Violin. From the time he was very young, Joshua loved making music. He drummed on pots, he trumpeted into cardboard tubes. After his parents found him strumming elastic bands, they bought him a violin. When he played his first song, a twinkling star appeared above his head. When he learned other songs, whole stories poured from his violin. One day Joshua rushed home from his music lesson. "Mom, Dad, I have to go to Kalamazoo." "What's in Kalamazoo?" "A competition. The winner gets to perform with an orchestra. Imagine me playing with a whole orchestra." Joshua showed his teacher the music he wanted to learn. The teacher shook his head. "This is a very difficult piece, even for adults." "But I love it. It's soft and it's loud, it's fast, and this is your first competition. I hear a story in it about dancers being chased by a bear. A bear! Their ship gets lost at sea. I have to learn this piece." "In that case, Joshua, let's begin." Practicing the tricky fingering made Joshua's hands sore, but he was determined to get it right. He especially liked playing very fast. Prestissimo. Slow down, his teacher said. The metronome helped Joshua play adagio. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, until weeks later, he got all the notes just right and was ready to speed up. Tick, tock, tick, tock. The day before the competition, Joshua's parents drove him to Kalamazoo. For 5 long hours, he practiced his music in his head. By the time they arrived at their hotel, Joshua's insides felt the way his violin sounded if the strings were tuned too tight. That night, he dreamt he was on stage and flubbed a switch from the E chord to the G. The audience laughed. "Ha ha 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 ha." "Don't worry," his dad said. "Everyone gets nervous before a competition." "No matter what happens," his mom said, "just remember how much you love that music." Waiting for his turn to play, Joshua shifted nervously on his chair. He twiddled a loose thread on his shirt. He wiped his sweaty hands on his sleeves. The music one student played tickled every hair on Joshua's head and vibrated right down to his toes. Another student hit all the right notes, but they hung limp in the air like wet laundry on a clothesline. Next up, Joshua Bell. Joshua walked onto the stage and lifted his violin into position under his chin. He held his bow lightly, but not too lightly. He carefully placed his fingers on the strings. His parents smiled, the judge nodded, and Joshua began to play. Almost right away, a small mistake, hardly noticeable. He kept going. Then his fingers stumbled, his bow stuttered, the notes wobbled and splat. Out tumbled a dancer, flat on her face. Joshua stopped playing. The judge sighed. The competition was over. Joshua turned to leave the stage, but "I'd really like to start over." The judge furrowed his brow. "All right." Joshua took a deep breath and let it out. Again he placed his violin under his chin. Again he raised his bow. Inside his head, 2 dancers appeared, poised to take their first steps. He drew his bow across the strings, and 2 more dancers appeared. Soon the notes spilling from the violin were pushing and pulling a whole roomful of dancers here and there, this way and that. Red skirts swirled and black boots twirled. The dancers flung each other dizzily around and around the room until Joshua felt dizzy too. One final note, one final swoop, and Joshua knew, from every hair on his head to the very tips of his toes, that he had played better than ever before. His dancers circled round. One winked, one kissed his cheek. Then they lifted Joshua high and higher still, till he could almost touch the stars. Joshua Bell is a real boy. He is now a grown man and one of the finest classical violins in the world. He really did make a mistake during the competition, and he did ask if he could start again. This book is a great reminder that to never give up, even if you make a mistake. The end.